I'm here today with Anne Laure Jackson. Hello, Anne.
Hello, it is great to be here.
You always brighten my day because I get to see you and Richard every single week, and it's just between the two of you. I think, do you know what? I've got a friend. Now, all the people I interview are wonderful, but it's nice to have people I can see every week.
Oh, that's so kind. Bless you. And vice versa. Obviously, like I love coming to these things. So it's like, yeah.
But I mean, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we get to see all these different people, and I love meeting different people. It's an absolute joy for me. It's an honor. It's a delight. It's tiring in its own way, but it's a tiring that I absolutely adore because I get to meet all these different people. But then there are, I'm going to say, comfortable people because kind of we've done this for a year. Richard, nearly the same, and yet there's kind of a way of working that we have between you and myself, or me and Richard, which we've got a way of functioning of doing these things really well, which makes it really easy from my perspective.
It is. It's really nice to be able to come into something that you're never quite sure what it's going to be, but we can both cope with that degree of uncertainty because it's just we're here to chat. We're here to communicate. We're here to see, what are we inspired by that's going to help somebody at the end of the day because that's what we're here for. And it's like, okay, you'll say something, I'll say something, we'll see where it goes, and it's just like, okay, take it, lead it, we'll go with it. And yeah, there's that ease because I trust you, and yeah, it's a mutual respect and a mutual trust, and it's a nice place to start a conversation from.
Which does bring up an interesting sensory thing because whilst I absolutely adore and love the people that I get to meet who only meet once on an interview on a Zoom call, and I absolutely adore it, I really, really do. But there's still that trying to work out how we talk, and if there's a link on Zoom and it's a bit stunted and it's a bit delayed, and now I'm interrupting them even though I'm really not because it's still all of that stuff can make for quite a difficult conversation. But the amazing thing is within 5 or 10 minutes normally of chat, we have a bit of chat before we go on air. That's when I kind of we're working it out, but that's because we're both got good sensory health and we can hear each other and we can see each other and we can react to facial expressions, all of those things. But of course, for some folk, that would be an absolute utter nightmare.
Oh, it's particularly hard. There are so many more things that you have to take into consideration when you're having this conversation. Because I know that I'm conscious that I'm looking at the camera and not actually at your face. So then my eyes, my peripheral vision is trying to catch where you're at, to pick up the even subtleties when my like core vision, that central vision, isn't actually on you, because otherwise it looks as though I'm looking down at the screen and I'm not actually looking at you. And people like that eye contact. We have an issue if someone is on the autistic spectrum. If they're autistic, then we know that eye contact can be really uncomfortable. But for many of us, we need that eye contact. But it does mean that especially when you're on Zoom, you're looking at the camera and you're not actually looking at the person, at their face. So you're picking up the subtleties through your peripheral vision, which is that's not the way we were designed to be. But we can function. We adapt a lot.
See, I'm looking at your eyes the whole time you're talking, but I'm not looking at your eyes because your eyes are somewhere up there on the camera, like you said. But actually, as people, we can still renegotiate with our brain to say, no, it's okay. They're not disinterested in me. They are actually looking at me, even though they're technically not, but they kind of are. And we process that. But that's because you and I have got pretty good sensory health. If you've not, well, why aren't they looking at me properly? I know they're not looking at me, but why are they not? Are they not interested in me? And we can have all these sorts of things going off, and it puts stress and anxiety, and we start to stutter and get sweaty and all the rest of it when there's no problem. But if you can't differentiate, then that no problem actually becomes quite a big problem.
Yeah, it does. And it also looks, because if somebody's looking at themselves, so if I was to like to look at myself down here, I can see myself down here, but I'm not looking at you until I put my eyes up. And when people do this in their cameras, you'll see it all the time if folks are on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, or Facebook, and they've got a picture of themselves. But if their eyes are focused towards what they are looking at, so they are looking at themselves and not at the camera, you feel a bit disjointed, and it also seems quite self-centered, that actually they're wanting to have a picture of how they look and they're wanting to check themselves rather than wanting to engage socially with someone else. We have so many subtleties, don't we, about what our body language, what our communication, or how we communicate with other people. And that's always a subtle one, especially over the last number of years as we've become more screen orientated. And we can take selfies and we can do things like that. Whereas before, it was obvious that people looked into the camera because someone else was taking it. And it was all, that's where we, put our eyes. But now when we're doing it ourselves, it's really interesting to see how many people are looking at themselves when they take pictures rather than looking at the camera to engage with someone else.
There's a bit of a cultural shift in
Mm,
society. Look at me rather than let me look at you, which is perhaps where
mm.
photographs were. Then, of course, video cameras came in and all the rest of it. And then the selfie generation. I remember one that I remember really vividly was Obama with a selfie stick. And I think some people hadn't really seen selfies before, but it was kind of normalized. But President Barack Obama was there with a selfie stick, taking a photo of himself with other people. And in a sense, that's kind of odd because before that, historically, you would take a photo of other people, but now it's taking a photo of me with other people, which is, it does create some interesting dynamics.
It does. It does. And that is a massive social, it has changed social dynamics significantly. And people capturing an event where you're just not engaged in the event in the same way that you were because you want to catch it on screen and you want to catch the fact that you are there. So it isn't even just capturing whatever is coming in front of you. It's the fact that you are now part of this. But again, the attention is on you being a part of it rather than just capturing the event for what it is. And it's, yeah, it's quite, it's great if you're using social media to promote yourself. That's for sure. I mean, that's the whole point. It's like, who am I who am I in this? And what am I doing? How can that help you? How can I influence you? How can I encourage you? How can I help and equip? So it can be used absolutely really positively. But on a normal social basis, it's just everybody's got their back to the individual because they want to catch an individual or an event in the background, and they're not actually engaging in it that way. They're actually just capturing it through phone.
Sensory health, social media, selfies. We were watching something the other day and there was an influencer. Now, I have a real personal issue against the word influencer. I really dislike it, but it at least is accurate. But this person, we were saying as a family, what on earth have they actually done to be famous? And literally, they were famous because they were famous. That was it. They've achieved nothing that hasn't been basically given to them. And they were quite an empty, shallow person. Everything they were doing was look at me, which was really irritating on a TV screen. I'm not going to say any more than that. But we were saying, well, what have they done to get there? And actually, they've done nothing apart from being given lots of money and able to do stuff because they had lots of money. So they're famous for being famous and actually really irritating. There's not really any substance to it. And I think as people, especially sensory health, we I think are drawn to people who are rooted and value us more than themselves, which is sort of the opposite of what we're seeing with the selfie kind of generation. I'm just thinking about sensory health and how we engage with another human being. If it's all about what they're doing and look at me, I'm with you. Well, that's nice. You know, you're out with a meal or drink with someone and the phone goes and they're looking at it. It's like, well, hello, I'm here. I'm up here, you know, and immediately we go to that. But from a sensory health perspective, that's got to be hard if you do need that eye contact, and not having eye contact can be particularly stressful.
Yeah, just as you were talking, my mind was going to an email that I got yesterday with one of the school teachers because I'm moving certain things around, and I have a centre here in Jersey, and that the students on Ireland are able to access it and use it. But because I'll be moving, I know for some of the students that's going to be quite disruptive and quite difficult for them, and could cause some challenging behaviours for staff. So I was just explaining by email all the things that I'm going to put in place so that when the change happens, it's as smooth as it possibly can be. So I'm saying to them that now, if they go and have a look at the place, although I haven't moved into the place that I am going to, they can at least get familiar with the environment, where it is they're going to be parking the car, what the place looks like, what the lighting is like from the outside, what the colours of the place are like, even what the smell is like around there. There's some bins on the outside, not that it's smelly at all, but it's just that they're aware that there are certain things that might set them off from a sensory perspective. Just these little changes that are going to happen with a move to a place that will hopefully feed them well and help them feel good, because that's what sensory health is all about. But there are things that we always need to take into consideration when we are changing things or moving things and shifting things. And it was really, really lovely that the teacher was saying thank you so much for considering our students, and trying to organise the move the way that I am so it's the least disruptive to their experience of enjoying the centre, and having it as a really positive experience when there's going to be a lot of change. There's got to be lots of things that are going to be different.
which just comes back to that whole thing of being comfortable, not just with a person, but with an environment. And when that environment changes, we are less comfortable. I'm trying to think, we were going to a gym years ago and it had a big thing that says, do not put any scents on the little rock things that make the steam.
Mm.
Don't put any scent on there. And I haven't got an allergy to perfume, but I do struggle with it. My three boys do. They literally are allergic to perfume, like 40% of the population. But someone would love to go in there and put some scent on. And I was just getting so sick and tired of this because it wasn't like I didn't like it. I didn't. But actually, the problem was my lungs, my throat was starting to shut down. And then the anxiety and the stress and all the relaxation that I might have had from being in that steam room,
Mm.
that's vanished because of someone's, to be honest, selfishness of I like it to smell like I like it. But of course, when they finish doing that, the smell's quite there for quite a long time. But we don't necessarily think about others. We can get quite selfish, and that I think is very much of the age. But how do we better think about others? I mean, you're talking about some of the things moving a centre where people are going to be coming and having some sort of therapy or help or work or what have you. So you're trying to say, look, this is what's changing. So it's not that real, really hard, sudden, fast change, which as people, I don't think we do like. I actually do like change. I like things to change naturally,
Mm.
but I don't like sudden aggressive change that I had not seen coming because then I feel like I've been sideswiped and where was I standing and hang on, what's gone on here?
Mm.
So how does that work?
It's just like I love the fact that the more we can think all the time, I'm growing in how can I be more and more considerate in what I do and how I do it. How can it's a sense of sacrifice. There's a big thing like this week in particular, looking at the word sacrifice. We've been looking at generosity and how to be more generous of spirit, but also just we know there's a scripture that talks about obedience is better than sacrifice, but the sacrifice and sacrificial giving, sacrificial living is nonetheless a pleasing aroma, talking about smells. But it's just a lovely thing, and it's not always, well, it isn't something that comes naturally to us. And I have challenges. My husband has a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, visual impairment. We've now got teeth issues going on. There's always something going on, and constantly it's that reminder. Okay, when you're dealing with someone who is different, has a disability, a diagnosis, a disorder, something that demands more of you, how much are we willing to allow ourselves to be challenged, to accommodate, to live sacrificially, to live generously? And that's it. It's a hard place, but it's one that we can absolutely find joy and peace in. And that's my encouragement to families that are really, really struggling with hard things. We were talking about self-harm last week. And dealing with all of those issues when we need to get a good sensory assessment to try and stop the self-harm. But it's that constant giving, that constant support for those in the family or in the workplace or at school who are just hard work. And coming to the end of term, as most of us are in the UK anyway, children are tired, teachers are tired, staff room assistants are tired, and it can go downhill pretty quickly.
I was just thinking about a friend of mine who's got a really busy day, and he says, "Oh, hopefully we, have a good day if I don't talk to you again until tonight." And I just thought, wow, that's a busy day, but busyness kind of infiltrates our lives, and even with the best laid plans of I'll leave a nice little gap here and a little gap there, they can so quickly get filled up. I've had that today, where I just feel like I'm going from one thing to the next, and every one of those is urgent. And sometimes you can't think, "Oh well, we'll push that off." Sometimes you don't have that luxury. So I was just thinking about, I've had a busy day. A friend of mine's having a really busy day. So early in the morning, I'll chat to you tonight if I don't, speak to you through the day. And this is someone we speak to quite a lot. How do you best prepare when you leave gaps and they go? Like, you just have to sort of go with that. But when you know that the day ahead of you is absolutely insane, how do you find time when there's no time to care for yourself, which is so important? But sometimes life happens and we don't get that. I'll just go and have a half-hour break. Maybe that's gone for whatever reason. That's life.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we best prepare when we know we're not going to have a break for the next 12 or 15 hours?
This is I look at the minutes, the moments. It's those as part of having a sensory diet, which is how we put in the right kind of sensory input into every moment of every day where we can. So we choose the activities that are going to meet our needs. We're going to choose the activities, and generally they are on a bigger scale. But this is where we go to the snapshots. This is where we take those minutes. And it literally is at that 1 minute. I mean, we're very good when we work on Zoom and when we're working to timescales, we're very much by the second. So a minute can actually feel like an awful long time. Remember the minute silence in November that we take, that can feel like an awful long time. So you may not have a long time, you may not have 5 minutes, you may not have an hour, but just take a minute, lie on the floor, set your alarm on whatever it is, close your eyes, close your ears, or play some music in the background and just breathe. Lie flat. Just, I mean, obviously we need to find what works for best. Some people might want to run and just run on the spot for a minute, and that's it. But set the timer, give yourself a minute, and it's just in between each hour of what is happening. Find those things that will work for you, but take them minute by minute, minute at a time, one hour, every hour. Try and find a minute of something, whether it's just sitting there and breathing, putting on music, going just literally a walk around the block, whatever you can do in that minute, so that there is a moment. It's capturing those moments of just calm and peace and speaking good thoughts, or just listening and just trying not to think of anything, or doodling. Just doodle and let your body do. Hang upside down. That's what someone, just hang, or breathe, or smell something, sit. Just find something that works for you, but a minute at a time, and set the timer so that you don't lose that time when you don't have time, but you can really calm your system down in a minute.
We can do all that we can do to make sure we have, our half hour lunch hour, whatever you're going to have. As a trucker, I get a 45-minute break every 4.5 hours, basically. So you can have those times. Sometimes they're stolen. We had a day off on a Saturday one time, and it just got taken over with boiler repairs. And, we worked 6 days. Our 7th day was a day off, and we didn't have it. And then I worked for another 6 days. These things of life are always going to come our way, which is why it's important we don't overfill everything and try and create gaps when we can. But one of the recurring things that I know with you that we keep touching on is, but when it goes wrong, or when it goes wrong, you just got to find a way of getting through it the best you can. You're not going to be your best. You just need to be as polite and gracious as you can. And we'll say around, in our own family, look, this person's got a busy day. Just try and help them out and be as compassionate as you can, and just give them extra help. We had a problem with one of the things to do with our radio, and it was like, this person needs help. We got 15 minutes to do something that's supposed to take 2 hours, and 3 of us jumped on to help this person achieve something, because you know what? Whatever we're doing right now, this person's actually at the coal edge. The coal face. They've got to have that help. That's one side of things, but I think it is really important what you said about how, in a 12-hour day, there's going to be minutes when you're not busy, and it's seizing those minutes, isn't it?
It is, and seizing them consciously to stop, to do something active in that minute that isn't, within the normal, isn't part of the to-do list. It's just that moment of reflection, the moment of stopping, the moment of just taking aware of all your senses, what you're smelling, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're feeling. Even if it's just putting on the ear defenders, have a set of ear defenders so that you can just shut out what is happening externally, and it'll be quite surprising what that does to your system. And blowing balloons, that's funnily enough, it saves you going out and having a smoke. Basically, you're using that, or having a vape, all of that stuff. Oral motor is powerful in regulation, and that's why a big reason why I think folks go for their smoke breaks and whatever else. But the blowing and sucking is really important in regulation. So have a balloon at your desk, or in the house, or wherever, and have it in your pocket, and it's like, just blow a balloon up for that minute, and then have fun letting it down.
I had 2 thoughts off the back of that, and they're rather conflicting. The first one is, hey, take up a new hobby. You could do balloon animals. You could blow the balloon, and that could be your relaxation at work, making some animals. But then my other thought was, some people cannot cope with the sound of a balloon and the sort of the latex rubbery thing, and any sort of moisture and rubbing, that squeaking sound. Sorry if you've just had a little panic attack, but that can actually trigger people. So again, know your know your audience. Literally, if you're in an office and you know someone's got that particular thing or a latex allergy, please don't use latex balloons. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, yeah. And I was chatting to one of the staff members. I want to record them juggling because so go out and like have a juggle. That's remarkably organizing because you're using your proprioceptors, your muscles and your joints. There's an awful lot of concentration needed just for that. So you can't concentrate, you can't be bothered, you can't be stressed by other things. If you're just able to juggle. So yeah, if it's noise that your colleagues don't like, pick up juggling and just take a minute every hour. And it's just you're working on a skill and but it's that's another really good another good thing. Oh, and I'm also contacting our music teacher at school so that we can look at all the different types of instruments and how they affect our sensory health with the different things that it demands of us. And the vibration that comes from instruments, the amount of blow that's needed, what kind of muscle work is needed and where is it needed in order to create a nice sound. And then you've obviously got the sound itself. But yeah, that's another project in the making.
Here's one then. So, I mean, you were talking about having to lie down or running on the spot. If you're in a really busy environment, you think, well, if I run on the spot, they're going to basically say, let's take you to the little quiet room with the nurse. So how can you help someone in an office where lying down is an option because there's no flat spaces? Perhaps juggling might be dangerous. Blown balloons. There's someone who has a real freak out at the sound. What can we find in our offices? I'll tell you where this comes inspired from. I remember watching, it was somebody, a doctor or something, talking about weightlifting and grannies. And it was one of those little moments of, where are you going with this? But he talked about how as we get old, we tend to do less exercise. And then we think perhaps conversely that the only way of exercising is with a really expensive set of barbells or dumbbells in a gym. But he said, if you take really common items in the home, one of which I love this, was a set of oven gloves that's linked in the middle. Take your baked bean tin, stick one on each side and lift that up and down. As an older person, now you're weightlifting. It's actually weightlifting. That's a great way for someone who's older, not just to sit there and do nothing but watch TV, but actually to sit there because you can't walk because you're tired, but actually you can do a little bit of weightlifting. You've probably got oven gloves joined in the middle, or you can make a little sewing project to do so. Tin of beans, off you go. What would be that in an office instead of lying down?
Yeah, I go to concentric exercises, which means it is squeezing the muscles and relaxing them, but you're not actually moving. So you can do that, like certainly waiting in the supermarket. Also, sorry, just to digress slightly. If you're in the supermarket, like queue, and waiting is hard, which it is for some of our people. So it's there, stand and squeeze. You can squeeze your arms. You can kind of like work your way through the head. You can start with your jaw muscles and clench and then relax, hold it for 10 seconds and then relax it. And then you work your way through and down your muscles so that you get proprioceptive input, which is the good, calming, organizing input that comes from muscles and joints. So if you can't move or you don't want to be conscious of moving, take that minute and go through the body and just consciously think, right, okay, I'm on the arms, right, I'm on my buttocks, I'm on my legs, I'm on my calves. And you do that for a minute, squeeze and then relax. You can also do, you can have little, I think some of the guys in the office in particular would fancy these chair press competitions. And it's just like, right, okay, lads, what we're going to do, all right, guys, all the girls, obviously, anybody can join in with this, but it's like if you've got like an office chair with arms, mine has arms on it, and you press down on the arms and you push yourself up, and you can see if you can actually lift your bottom off the seat and see how many of those you can do in a minute. So you can do it, right? Okay, like we're 1 minute off break time. Yeah, okay. And see, can you do it? Can you get your bottom off the seat anyway? And then how many of those can you do in a minute? And it's your 10 o'clock challenge on a Tuesday morning that this is what you do. So, and you can do it more off. I always like to do more things office based. Same way that whole schools, we were chatting with one of the teachers yesterday and how she can get these little exercises into the whole school class so that it is easier you're not singling anybody out. Everybody's doing it and it's good sensory health anyway. but will just particularly help some individuals. So yeah, you either do it really discreetly and therefore there's no movement, but you're just using muscles. You take yourself away, or you do some stuff in the toilets and you do some wall presses. It's kind of like push-ups, but you just do it on the wall instead. So you don't have to do it on the floor where it might be a bit grubby and you don't want to get that close on an office floor, but you do it against the wall instead. Or, you have these little competitions between office workers or your colleagues to see how many of those you can do in a minute. And then there's other little challenges that we would put in, and you can stick on a school board, and then whoever has to bring in a box of chocolates for the rest of the team or something.
I love some of those. I love really simple, functional, practical stuff because I think for a lot of people, we think I'm going to the gym. That's the only way to get fit. I need massive presses to do rowing machines and running machines and all these things. But you know what? There's some really simple stuff we can do for free, and that's a perfect one. All you need is an office chair with hand armrests. But what got me thinking was the sacrificial thing we talked about almost at the start. If you're leading an office, why not stop the office? Just down tools, get everybody to have a go. I love the attitude of the Japanese. Let's exercise before we go into work. And you can see these construction guys, hard hats, gloves, all the rest of it, doing some exercises and then going into the working part of their day. I love that because it's together. So you're not then thinking, I'm just an idiot in the corner doing me exercises, looking like a complete lost the plot here. Yeah. But if you've got a little corner of it, not everyone's got to get involved, but the office managers, come on, you can get people involved. Right. Let's just down tools, 10 minutes. Don't answer the phones for 10 minutes. Let's just do some chair push-ups or whatever you want to call it. And I love the competition.
Yeah. I think the more fun life is to be lived. Life is to be loved. And whatever work environment we're in, we can find something. You can find something. That's for sure.
Without looking like you're completely insane and slightly mad, which maybe we all are to our own little degree. But I love the practical and the simple that can help our sensory health. We don't need fancy tools or swings and all the rest of it. As brilliant as they are, you need a strong ceiling. Please don't just stick one in your roof and off you go, because that's not going to end well. But actually, most office chairs, I mean, they're pretty cheap. Most offices have got an office chair, we would hope, with arms.
You can even do it without arms as well. You don't even need the arms on it. You literally just, any chair will do. Just stick your hands underneath your legs and have a go and seeing, if how high you can get yourself off the chair and literally just going up and down. Or get two tables together. You can do it like two tables close together, and you kind of like do little push-ups in between two tables. Yeah, so loads of things that are not hard to do.
I really, really like the simple stuff. I mean, I work from home, so I can go and have a lie down if I want to, but office chair, I do have arms, some do, some don't, but that's what I really like about these is sensory health is not for children. It's not for autism. It's not for ADHD. Yes, there's going to be some work for that, but actually it's something that helps all of us. And the better our sensory health is generally, the better we can perform, the better we can function in our jobs.
And I was also thinking that the lovely thing about the chair press ups, not only is it the muscle work as you press, but you've also got linear vestibular as you're going up and down. So that's also really alerting. It's kind of calming. It's organizing. It's another. You've got a really lovely, very, very simple activity there that hits lots of senses.
See, there's another little thing you could do, go around to offices and fixing all the people who are stressed. Right, let's stop on your chairs. Let's go. Because but have a bit of fun with it. And this, I love that thing you said about life is to be lived, life is to be loved. But so much of life is down and distressing and all the rest of it. Work is hard, and it should be hard to some extent. But it doesn't mean and preclude us from having fun.
Having fun, being fulfilled. Yeah.
Anne Laure Jackson, thank you. If you want to connect with Anne and find out more about chair sit-ups or push-ups or whatever you want to call them, pure247radio.org, pure247radio.org. I'm looking at the camera now. pure247radio.org/ALJ will connect you to Anne Laure Jackson. And I'm looking back at you. See, I'm more conscious of the fact I'm doing that now. I'm switching between the camera and you. Thanks, Anne.
Oh, it's great to see you. Speak next time.